Good morning, everyone. I am Hai Vong, and I work in DISA Emerging Technology Directorate, who would like to welcome you to today's technical exchange meeting. Heather will be presenting its artificial intelligence capability in today's TEM session. I need to go over some administrative items before we get started. First, please mute your DoD 365 Microsoft Teams session. Second, this session being recorded to allow future groups to present the capability by members of DISA and DoD community. Third, this is a public forum. No proprietary sensitive information should be shared in this session. Fourth, we encourage question during the session. So please use the raise hand function in the team menu to allow presenter when you have a question. You can also enter your question in the chat area at any time during the presentation, and the question will be addressed in the order they received. I must provide the following disclaimer. This technical exchange meeting does not infer any intention by DISA or Department of Defense to enter into an acquisition, contract purchase, or endorsement of the presented capability. This session is purely for informational purposes only. We do not control how session participants will proceed with the convey content. Access into the technical exchange video, slide deck, and other TEM artifacts will be made available through the public TEM website, whose link is provided in the TEM session invitations. A link to download today's TEM session slide deck will also be made available in the chat area. So with all that said, let us commence with the presentation. So over to Heather for presenting.
Hey, sounds great. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. I'm Sam Hart. I'm the CEO of Hathr AI. You can see here, Hathr and Hathr AI LLC is how we display over in sam.gov. So you can see some of our big information here. And then I'm just going to run through it really quick, kind of how we got the idea, why we built this, and then some of the features in it. So again, please go through, like I said, please ask any questions. Now, heads up, if I don't respond to it immediately, it's because how the thing displays. So if someone else could help me out there and let me know like the questions coming through, I'd appreciate it, just in case we don't see it. So anyway, we'll get started. So really quick, so Hathr AI, what's the big problem? You know, everybody here has heard of AI, but we also all know that it comes with a bunch of different security risks. So there I was working for the government, I was working for DoD's industrial policy, and writing on these different critical technology areas. One of them is AI, and being like, all right, so what are the risks? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? And so in going on through those, like obviously it's a huge opportunity for the DoD to, like, even if we keep the same processes, to be able to accelerate our productivity, get stuff done faster, and be able to move through the things we have to get done, whether it's by policy or law, and get to the meat of our jobs. Because I remember everyone knows it's like we're probably not going to get more people to do this, so we have to augment this technology to make sure that one, we're doing the best we can, but also two, to make our lives better too. So that's kind of where I got the idea for Hathr. I was like, what are the impediments to use in the DoD? So it's privacy, security, compliance, and data custody. So that goes into the whole tale of some of the key issues with your baseline OpenAI or your other commercial kinds of AI tools. Is they take your data and they copy it, spread it out, and then recycle it. So I was like, all right, let's do it this way. So one, let's make it secure. So let's put it in AWS, and let's put it in AWS so it conforms either in commercial cloud to FedRAMP moderate, and also we also run an instance in AWS's GovCloud, so it complies with FedRAMP High and all the way up to IL6. And then of course having it based on NIST 800-171 standards, and then also too we double up with HIPAA, just depending on different commercial requirements as well. So then private. So how do we do that? We also build a privacy and secure and privacy layer on top. So where other tools will take your data and kind of throw it in the giant swimming pool of data and then be able to access it, we say no. Each user is separate, maintains a separate data library, and it doesn't mingle throughout. So even though the tool helps process what you upload to the tool, it does not ingest it in any way. So you maintain the data custody throughout. You can also delete it. You can upload, download it back to your own workstation, and like I said, actually delete it all the way through. It's not pulled to a separate repository. Then of course the compliance, I covered that, some of the baseline things that you have to go by if you want to be a part of the DoD enterprise, DoD IT enterprise. So you can read here. These are some of the big challenges, and then generally how we're solving that so that you don't have to compromise. You don't have to worry. You can go ahead, do your government workflow. You can code. You can deal with GUI information and just go without having to worry about what kind of stuff you're putting in. Of course, not classified here unless it's on a specific server, but in terms of unclassified information. So current paradigm, you can read this. We kind of talked a little bit already, but big picture, the way we host it, the way we build our privacy, security, and data custody layer, it's making so we can do best in tech for the Department of Defense and accelerate our processes and get our work done faster and make our lives better without having to compromise. And then, so here's some big discriminators. So one, we don't do tokenized bidding. So like there are some competitors out there that are like, hey, great. And they just nickel and dime you, just a little bit. And everybody knows compute hurts. So what we do is we make sure to price appropriately so that when you get in there, you're not going to be stopped halfway through if you're generating some Python to go and develop something that you need to do to help connect something. So this one aspect of generating text, but of course you can upload, your different Excel files, your CSVs, your XLSX, of course, all your different Word documents, PDFs, these different data types so that you can get in and have it ready for all your different government workloads. Now, again, you upload your information, you can download your information, but one of the ways that we make sure that there aren't spillage or unintended transmissions is the need for you or the user to transmit your information. So the enclave that you're in, which you have access to, upload it or download it, but for you to transmit it, again, it's always on you as the user to make sure that whomever you are bringing that information to or transmitting it after you've processed, after you've used it, is on you. So that's one of the ways we do some of the custody and helping people make always good choices. So of course, process, but also on the user interface. And then you can go through it. We price appropriately so that teams can use it for what they need to use it and not be throttled. So the process, it's super simple. It's a basic GUI that I'd love to show you guys. It's intuitive. But what it is you have the ability to see your account. You can change the sensitivity of the large language model, how you want to do it. We currently run a version of Claude through AWS, and that's how we do our compliance, security, and privacy layer so that all the data stays local. And then you can, in your account, you can have different tasks or workbooks that you want to work through. And then, of course, you have your document library. So being able to upload your documents into that system, being able to select which ones you want to, they stay there. Versus a lot of large language models where you have to re-upload your information every single time. We tried to make sure that for these workflows, you can have these consistent workflows that you go through, be able to build on, and be able to export as well. So if you wrote 10 pounds of code or whatever, you're able to export in the TXT file, a Word document or PDF, and be able to have that go and build however you want. So that was kind of the quick and dirty. I'd love to take some questions, and I'd be happy to break down how the tooling generally works, and then how it works also too for government clients and how you guys be able to think about integrating it with your workflow. So any questions out there?
Yes, I do have a question in the chat area. You want to take a look? Just whenever you have the kind of API built-in, so we can integrate with other IT or software easily.
I see that. Okay, so here, I'll go through that. So the API, we also license it. So straight up, if teams want to be able to go into it, we built it intentionally to be easy to modify. So here, one sec. I'm gonna stop sharing there. But here, really quick. So via API, we'd be able to set you up like that. We also do it where we can lift and shift it. So we also just license the whole software. We're just trying to make sure it's safe and easy for people to take. So what I've done with other customers is be like, hey, like, how would you like this delivered? Right now, it's easiest like AWS GovCloud to be able to transmit one-to-one, and then taking it and then just licensing it. And you can either build on it yourself, or we can also help deploy it if folks want to. Does that answer that question? Is that helpful?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay, nice. And then what AI engine is this under the hood? So we built our privacy, security, and compliance layer on top to be modular. So I say that because it's model agnostic, which is kind of cool. Right now, though, it's using Anthropic's Claude 3.5, and running that through AWS GovCloud gives us that privacy, security, and compliance layer. But we can change that out. And that's one of those too. We also run it with different EC2 instances, or one customer, they have a really high need, or they have a need for a large amount of compute. So they actually bought a bunch of GPUs, and our software is like, it's fine. It's just it's modular. So we're plugging that into their GPU farm. They work for a 3-letter. They need to process terabytes of data. So plug it into their GPU farm, and it'll run these different models. For them, Llama 3.1 is optimized. They want to run it in a standalone environment. And we're like, great. So that's how we do it. Does that answer the question from Mr. Matthews? You good to go? Awesome. And then it says, so does your platform need to be trained with the customer set of acquisition data and documentation? So if you want a specific answer, it's like other LLMs. So it comes with its set information. But if you want to laser beam it down to something specific, yeah, absolutely. The more context you bring it for a specific task, the better it'll be able to attack it. So like, I'll just give an example. So like terms and conditions for contract evaluation. So there's this one customer, and they needed to do a quick evaluation and then generation of new T's and C's with one of their vendors. So I was like, great, let's come up with a prompt. So, it's like the classic. I love AI because unlike a super smart intern, you can actually have it write its own instructions. So I was like, hey, how would you compare these two documents and generate a new one, incorporating the two previous ones? And so we put in some information, how they wanted the formatting, and we put in an example of how it would look, and then of course the two terms and conditions to compare, and it spit it right out. So that was, that's an interesting thing. So for the acquisition data and documentation, what you put in there and more specific your quotes, absolutely, and that's unique to you. We can also build custom ones too if you want. That you can modify. We can build that and train it as well. But for you guys, just out of the box, you can upload your stuff to your document library, select the documents you want, and have it go on that. Does that answer the question? Is that good? Cool. And then measures are taken to prevent hallucinations, Gen AI. So we did this a couple different ways. So you'll see if you open up the tool, it's not exactly like other LLMs, because what we did with our embeddings is we made the tool a bit more prescriptive. So, coming from the government background, specifically compliance and strategy, I was like, oh, we're not traditional like marketers and business people here. It needs to be precise, especially if you're pulling documents, like policy documents or guidance. And then also the outputs, because it matters, right? A lot, possibly lives on the line or configurations that can shut down and put people at risk. So what we did with our embeddings is we made it more prescriptive. Now, that's the baseline. If you want to change it more, we also have the option in the tool, because we do offer this for a bunch of different folks. There are commercial version, so you can lower the sensitivity, so you get more creative. But our baseline is more specific and prescriptive, and that's how we bring down hallucinations a ton, which is awesome. The other part of that too, in our modular system, we're always upgrading, and we have the ability to upgrade our system. So that's another way, as tech rollouts constantly come, it's just passed along value to the customer, being able to, hey, let's just plug it in. It takes a couple days, no big deal, and you get a brand new tool, when a new one pops out, which is pretty cool. And then, other government state agencies leveraging your capability? So we just came out, but yeah, no, we got our we have some signups from NIH and Department of Energy, and then of course we're talking with you folks today, and in building out a different capability. So talking with everyone from the Navy, the Air Force, and different folks, and finding what's right for every team. And then which IL is your capability certified for? So working with that depends on how you want to touch it. So in our AWS GovCloud one, that goes up to IL5, but we'd have to work with you guys if we wanted a specific ATO for your specific deployment. But IL5 is what it's rated up to. And if you guys wanted, if someone wanted to lift and shift our tool, take our software, scan it, it can, like I said, it can run in a standalone environment or not. So you can take it, scan it, put it wherever you want in the environment as long as there's compute. So I was talking with NRO, they have their own compute. I was like, perfect. Hey, you need to put it on their, respective classified server. I think it's TS server with some caveats on it. I was like, great, go for it. You just have to scan it. And then do you have any demo or videos or demo materials that actually show the capability in action? Yeah, absolutely. If that's of interest, I see that from you, Joe. I'd be happy to send it out. I can show you the T's and C's video that I built for one of my clients, or terms and conditions, so when you're comparing the two. But it's exactly how another AI tool works. And we also have the commercial version for people, and I say commercial because it has those protections, and you can hop in, start a free subscription, after you put in your card, and it's just $45 a month. And then general licensing model for the capability, we are flexible on that. So, like I said, we can do the single subscriptions. Awesome. If you want to do a specific deployment and license it and then develop your own and build it and push it out for your environment, and brand it for whomever, then absolutely. Okay, I see that, Joe. Sorry, I didn't think that we're gonna make, if everyone wants to, I'm happy to just pull up the tool. Would that be helpful, Joe? Is that okay? Cool. All right. Here, I'll heart that. All right, let's pull it up. Neat. Well, here it is, everybody. Here, let's make it comes on up. Can folks see this?
Yes, I can see that, but just a little bit small, but yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So I'll just take you through it. And then if anyone has any questions, here, I'll just put this browser zoom. Sure, I will do that. It's always tricky. Does that work for folks? Hopefully it's better. All right.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, good. So you can see here, this is just my account. It's free. You have your account. You can update your information, all the basics of it, and erase your account. And I laugh because you can see here it's serious. So I told you before, we're really serious about data and how data is managed, and that if you actually delete it, it's actually deleted. Making sure we can conform to the data retention, yada yada yada. But we are really serious. We're not like Microsoft where we make a copy of your information and then secret it away and store it somewhere. So we have, if you want to delete it, you go through, you actually erase your account. So here are the settings. Here's the LLM that I was telling you about. This is the default. It's precise. It's precise, neutral, creative, and then how you want it to spit it out. Just trying to make it simple and intuitive for folks. But out of the box, it's more prescriptive. And then of course your subscription. So your billing history, and then cancel your automatic payments. So try and be transparent for folks. Here we have your different projects. You create a new project. Like demo with DISA. Create that. See, we're here. You can edit it. You can delete it. You want to delete it? Sure, it's gone. And then you can export it too. So PDF, TXT, DocX are the main ones, and then we'll continually add functionality as well. Then over here, you have your different documents. So when you click new document, you don't see it, but for me, it just goes straight to my home screen. or my sorry, my downloads folder. Just doing it easy peasy. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to upload those 2 documents. You can see I selected them, put some of these file types, said upload. Just takes a moment to think, just like every other AI tool, and it's taking right now unit embeddings, shredding them, throwing out, pressing, bringing them back. So we have these 2 documents. They're both about 12 pages each, and they're from Lockheed Martin. They're the terms and conditions for subcontractors. You can see you can download them, you know, and it just spits it back to your downloads folder, or you know, you can delete them as well, and they're gone. So here, let's do a question. So how would I write a prompt to compare the 2020 document, the 2024 document? Right here. Let's give it as much freedom as possible because it's prescriptive. Prompt to compare 2 documents to show which one or which parts are different. And conditions, documents, which parts are different. Here. All right. So again, like any other AI, here's a brief prompt, compare the 2. Yeah, it goes through. So I'm gonna select these 2. Contents of Corp doc and 24 Corp doc. And then of course you can go through and specify them as well. So whatever works for your team. So you can go through, you know, it's great. It references the FAR clauses. So going through this, it's everything. It's helpful for everything between policy documents, you know, cases like this for acquisition, if you need to see, hey, you know, which ones were updated or not. And then if you wanted to as well, go through and have it update, you know, different portions of it. And is that kind of helpful, kind of starting to see how the tool works and how you can be, you know, you can use it in different ways, and you can see it lines out all those different, or lines out, you know, all the major changes. Is that kind of helpful there? Awesome. And so what are folks thinking? You know, I'd love to get some feedback, because big picture, you know, we have the subscription option. You know, it's super easy. We're also an SDVOSB, and you know, it starts at $45 a month. We also do training. We also offer, you know, being able to lift and shift to license. So give you and the teams just the different keys to the kingdom. So, you know, being able to process, can it transcribe forms? Let's see. And transcribe forms, by that, what do you mean exactly by that? Like extract the data inside it to get the specific items out of it? Or what you thinking there, Mr. Watkins? Okay, cool. Here, how about this? So here's the 2020 Corp doc. Summarize the 2020 Corp document and provide specific highlights. Provide this in a bulletized form and provide the summary at the end of the yeah, so it actually does really well with that, Mr. Matthews. So I don't know about you, but it's like the pain of going through those. One of my favorite ones is it was a 400-page document, and it was for it was saying like when submissions were required for different policy docs, right? And so it was, what was it? I think it was 293-page document. And I was like, hey, when's the last time that I need to submit this? And so at the top it said, hey, you need to submit all this by, what was it, June 8th. No, it was like a Wednesday. And I was like, hey, are there any other relevant days or times in here? Like, when are submissions due? And then it spit out at the bottom. I was like, no, you need to submit this other portion of the form on June 1st. I was like, what? Is this hallucinating? So of course I go into the document and I go to that page. It's on page 73. And by golly, it had picked up out of this, 200+ page document that if you didn't submit one key document to this other command a week early, that funding wouldn't be processed. And you're like, what? That's insane. But it's the world we live in, right? So we actually have the document library here is up to 100 documents at 20 megabytes each. Again, if there's specific use cases or you want to deploy your own specific instance, we can change that. But we built this to be able to gobble up those huge amounts of documents, analyze them, and turn them into information. So not right now, Mr. Hornbeck. That is really cool. Absolutely. One of the reasons we don't touch that is because GPT right now, while I was working for the government, had specific issues around it. And so when we find a way to do that securely and comply with the different requirements for security and DoD environment, absolutely, that would be really cool. But yeah, no, so TBD right now, but more functionality right now is text-based. But that's something we could definitely work on depending on customer needs. So how does it handle sensitive or private data? So it stays all inside your document library, and each user is segmented. So we don't allow user environments to talk with each other, and we also don't allow data outside your specific S3 embeddings document bucket. So, like for instance, Azure for Government, their GPT version, when you put something into it, the GPT ingests it into its mothership. We don't do that. Data stays in your standalone environment always. And so with the sensitive and private data, you'd analyze it just like this. And, like we did these different documents, and that's why we have the different security, portions in place. And if there is unfortunately a spill that needs to be addressed, we're able to extract that and do all your standard processes that you have to. And detect. Does that answer your person? And then Ms. Gardina, can it automatically detect PII or other sensitive data types? Is there an output for what it does find? I don't know, honestly. I have not done it. I have not tested specifically to search for PII. It'd be one of those you can either train it or we can write here. Let's see if we can train it to. Can you write a prompt to identify any personally identifiable information PII document? But here, one sec. So here. So automatically detect PII. That's one of the reasons we have all the security in place. If you have access to your data and it, you're within the protected enclave, that illegally forego any right to your data, and we're not allowed to look at it. So we can't get into it. So that's how we did that. Is compared to other companies, we do not have a data play, for better or worse. But no, for better. I joke about that because we actively avoid doing it, and that's how we help customers get in there. And then for the who's validated the training and validation data sets, that's why we use these models and we put them best in class. So training and validation data sets, that's based on these foundational models. So the training and validation, if you want to train these in a specific way, that would be up to you, and it'd be based on a regular contractor development analysis. What happens to someone's data if they quit working for the company with the license, unsubscribe to the service as a personal user, etc.? They can delete it if they want. If they request it, we just delete it out. But we don't, like I said, through technical but also legal means, we forego any rights to your data. So it stays on the server right now indefinitely. But if you unsubscribe, it stays in the environment, and then we can delete it if you request it. No problem. Or you can delete it too. I showed you at the beginning. Just erase account, boom, done. Move on your life. And then it would be problematic if user was able to retrieve PII related to a different acquisition. 100%. And that's why we're different, right? So that's why the Air Force, you know, Joe, that's why the Air Force shut down their GPT instance. And this is why we created ours our way. Because GPT, I remember, I think I may have even told you that story, where, you know, we identified that some people had put in, you know, a bunch of FCI because they were told that GPT, the Air Force's GPT was private, which it wasn't, and they sloshed around that data. So I use the metaphor, GPT is like the public water park, right? You have to pay to get in, yada, yada, yada. But everybody's swimming in the big pool, right? All the data is just in there. So whatever bucket of water you throw in, there's no way to scoop it back out for those guys. Now I tell people, Hathr AI, we went the other way. And we're like the private pool in your backyard with a bubble over the top and 10-foot wall hedges. So your water is your water. There is no water, no data being shared amongst the different accounts. There's no data being ingested into a larger AI tool, being able to do it. So it 100%, and I'm happy you brought that up, Joe, because that is absolutely one of the reasons we built this, because gotta be safe, gotta be compliant. Otherwise, people can't use destined class tech. So that's what we solve for. Do folks have any more questions? Is there anything I can address? Well, here, let me know. So we're at hathr.ai, hathr.ai. You know, my contact information is in the slide deck. And I love to chat. You know, I've been public servant, former military. We have an SDVOSB and then a public servant, you know, doing everything from the Joint Chiefs, DoD, CIO, you know, in the Office of the Secretary, just, you know, just like everyone here, trying to make it a little bit better. So we help both sides. We help contractors. We also help government. And so whoever wants either a private instance or just go straight in to our commercial offering there online, go for it. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm always happy to talk. If you can't tell, it's always fun to meet new people. And let me know how I can help, most importantly. So if you have any questions, please reach out. The folks here have my contact information as well, and I'd love to stay in touch. Right on.
This Haiwon from DISA again.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear there are any other questions from the audience at this time. Is there any way you can go back to the first slide of the slide deck where you have the contact information so we can display on the screen and everyone can see that?
Hey, 100%. Here, let me pull that up for everybody really quick.
So with that, I would like to conclude this TEM session. First of all, I would like to thank Hathr for coming out today and present their capability to this and DoD community. Also, thanks everyone for your time to attend the TEM session. If you are interested in further pursuing this capability, company contact information is listed on the screen right now, and it's also included in the slide deck that each of you received today. If you don't feel comfortable to contact the company directly, you can also contact my organization, DISA Emerging Technology Directorate, and we can help you to get in touch with the company. With that said, I would like to thank everyone again and hope you all a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for coming on out. And then that phone number there, that's just mine, you know, so feel free to call direct and chat with you, answer any questions.